Hello, everyone. Good morning. If you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, and we were supposed to be live on there, but apparently we're not live on there. We were supposed to be going live on the iHealth Network for our very first time today, but it's apparently not.
I guess next time.
But we'll get there eventually. It's also International Yoga Day and it's World Day of Music. So put on your favorite song and do a downward dog and then listen to the podcast, shall you? Or will you? My name's Richard Wilmore. I'm your host.
And I'm Constanza Rader. I'm your other host. It's funny you mentioned downward dog because my 2-year-old who for whatever reason, like getting ready for school this morning, he like went into a perfect downward facing dog. Now, I do not do enough yoga for him to have seen me do it. So that's just was his natural expression for the day. He didn't even know
he knew. He did know. I bet he did know.
Yeah, I think so.
That's why he was trying to tell you without telling you.
And he was like telling me, he's like, down. He like wanted me to do it with him.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
Did you do it with him?
Of course okay,
I
did.
Good. Have you ever seen those? This is true. Have you ever seen those videos of like the dogs doing downward dogs with their owners doing yoga?
Oh, I don't think I have.
Well, if I was more prepared, I would have had a video ready.
With him?
Yeah, like you'll see someone doing yoga and then their dog comes in, like they have their own mat and they're like doing yoga poses. Dogs will, yeah.
That's so cute.
Oh. That has nothing to do with why we're here today.
Nothing at all.
That's just randomly us talking.
Today we have 2 amazing guests, Claudia Marulanda, or Claudia, and Jill Ortiz. They're here today, and Claudia is an amazing artist, and she helps empower women through art. And she has an amazing story and an amazing mission. And Jill is one of those people that's benefited from Claudia's work. So we're really excited to have both of them on to share their stories today.
Yes, and Jill is also empowering women in her own right through health and fitness. And wait until you see her art. So if you're listening to this, jump over to, we'll probably post it on our Instagram and Facebook, but go watch the YouTube video because the artwork you're about to see is amazing. So Claudia is a New York City-based visual artist whose passion is empowering women through the beauty of art. She pursued a career in graphic design, working in the publishing industry. However, it wasn't until Claudia hit an emotional rock bottom that she rediscovered her passion for art. Art became her medicine, a source for healing, and a place for self-expression. She states, create, this is what happens when you read without your glasses. Creating art became a way to relieve my pain, release suppressed emotions, and be empowered. For this reason, she now facilitates art workshops and programs to help women struggling with emotional distress, self-expression, and bottling up their emotions. One is actually starting next week that she'll talk about. And she'll talk about how you can join that. And then we also have a fun thing that we're going to do with them today. So if you're listening, go grab some colored pencils and a piece of paper and get ready to create. So should we bring them out? Should we start?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Come along with me, and I know you'll see that a song changes everything.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here.
we have too many. Wait, actually, what we can do, let me do this so we can see your names because we have too many on here to do the big ones. So we'll do this there so people can see your names. But can you introduce yourselves? And then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm Claudia Marulanda. You just gave a little introduction of me. I'm an artist, and art has helped me heal emotionally, and that's one of the reasons that I love art so much.
Awesome. Jill?
Yes, I'm Jill Ortiz. I am a NASM certified personal trainer, fitness and nutrition coach. My business is Jill Ortiz Fitness, and my mission is to help women become energized, confident, and strong.
I love it. So how did you two meet? And maybe we start with Claudia. Can you share a little bit of your journey to how you got to where you are now and what led you to Jill?
Okay. So let me see, how do I keep it nice and short? Well, when I started doing art, like back in 2020, I wanted to start like concentrating more on my art, and I was gonna do empowerment portraits because I add words into the hair of my illustrations. So because of COVID and quarantine, I ended up launching a coloring book that I call Sensational Wonder Woman. So I started doing more sketching and coloring. And because my passion is also like, how do I help women who like me want to feel better? So last year I started doing workshops, and I belong to a networking event, and I started talking more about my art and the workshops that I'm doing. So one of the persons there was Jill's husband. And then he invited Jill, which I didn't know. And then I saw Jill. It took me a little bit to realize that you were Jay's wife. So I was happy that she was in. You know, Jill is very supportive. She loves like expressing whatever she's going through. And she did the free workshop. And in there, you know, I talk about the art program that I started creating, that it just goes a little deeper into getting to know yourself. Well, for women to get to know themselves and create future self-portrait. So that's how we ended up meeting. She liked it. She loved it, I believe. I'm just saying that.
Absolutely.
I hope she's not here to tell you how much she hated it.
And then she joined the art program. So it was nice to have Jill in there because once again, she's very expressive of like every step of the way, what she felt, what she went through, how it has helped her. So that's also the reason that I invited her to be here.
Before we move on to Jill, I would love for you to share a little bit, like dig in a little bit more about why art for empowerment and healing and some of these things that you've talked about.
So back in a couple of years ago, 2013, that's when I hit that emotional rock bottom. So what it means is that I was already in a bad place in my life. I always had like constant feelings of sadness. I didn't know why. And then when I had a breakup, I ended up being heartbroken, of course. But at the same time, during that period, my son left home to join the Marines. And a couple of months later, I lost my job. So I was basically home alone, feeling abandoned, lost, heartbroken. I was miserable. The good thing is that I just decided that I was going to do things differently. I was going to start saying yes to new things. So I started meditating, I didn't even know what meditating was, but I started meditating. I did some self-development work. I started looking into my spirituality. I hired a life coach. Like I was doing anything that would help me. And that was the best decision that I did for my life, because on my own, I wouldn't have been able to probably be here. And at the same time, during that period, I kind of like uncover past trauma. I realized I had repressed trauma for over 30 years. So I started working on that too. And somehow I believe the pain just drove me to art. Like one night I just decided to take out my color pencils and start drawing, because I draw. I hadn't done it in a long time. And it just felt good. Like I just felt that relief. And every day after work, when I was feeling miserable, all I wanted to do was come home and start like drawing, coloring. And I started doing more. I was like, this is like the beginning of something in my life. And I started doing more and more. And then I started doing a little more painting. And I realized that I wanted to get better at painting. So I took a portrait painting class. And I was like, I'm not bad with this. So I started doing more painting, and it just felt good and relief. And as time went on, I started like just researching a little more about art. And, there's art therapy. I met a veteran, and he told me how art had helped him, and he became a painter too. So I started meeting people that said, art saved my life. And I just kind of like decided to learn more about it. And I was just kind of like, I would say not just impressed, but I realized that art had helped me when I was at my lowest point in life. And that's why I like to say that it became my medicine, because it is what I did daily to help me get out of that painful state that I was in. So that's the beauty of art.
Can we put up some of your artwork, and maybe can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in those? I mean, I love the way how you do this is so fascinating to me.
Oh, cool. What we're looking at, just for those of you that are listening, it's a portrait of a woman with different colors of hair and there's words in the hair, right, Claudia?
Yes. So I had a friend that asked me to do an exhibition of the past, present, and future, kind of like of me. So that's my present at that point. I wrote like awakening consciousness, because I felt like I was awakening. I was beginning to know myself, get awareness of myself. And I was feeling happier. So I wrote down happiness. I wrote down persistence, because at that point I believed that I wanted to persist in what I was doing and just keep getting better and better. And I added the word courage, because I was building the courage just to step out of who I was and start becoming the new person that I wanted to be.
That's stunning. Thank you for sharing.
I think I know the way that you need to go watch this, because the way that flower like popped out when I was going through your website, I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like a koosh bowl, which I love koosh balls. So that's what made me excited about this one.
Thanks. This one's a little more recent, and I got inspired by an actress. So I just saw her with a flower in her mouth. So I was like, there was something kind of like mystical to me about that. So I wanted to paint it. And I wrote a couple of words that it related more to her thing. This one is called bruja, which means witch. So it was like, to me, it was like, what is a witch, nowadays? What does that mean? Because for some people, it means something negative. For some other people, it means something positive. So, and I love curly hair. That's like one of my favorite things. So it was fun doing this.
That's cool.
Wow. Now, Jill, were you creative and doing art before you started doing her eyes got really big when I started asking that. So that's the answer.
I even expressed just fear to Claudia on the first day of the workshop, our 6-week course, that I color and draw like a kindergartner. Like I was really afraid that in doing a future self portrait, that mine would look like it was from a first grader or, a kindergartner. And I really had a lot of doubts that she would be able to take me from where I was to where I wanted to be at the end and have a great piece of artwork. So no.
But what made you, there was something inside of you that was still like, I'm going to do this. Like what made you still want to do it, even though you had a fear of it?
I think it's baby steps. Claudia and I, we're kind of on the same path in our businesses. We both had to make changes when COVID hit. And so for me, it was taking my fitness business virtual and helping people with baby steps of, let me just get this person into a tiny little taste of me, for free. That's not threatening, where they can just try a little something. And that was her Color with Intention workshop, which was 5 days. And we colored one little piece of paper that she had drawn. So it was like, all right, we're just trying to color in the lines. And she gave us the prompts for, how to choose the colors with your emotions. And so that was enough to kind of get me in the door. And as Claudia said, my husband came home one day and said, I have somebody who came to my networking meeting today, and I really think you should join this workshop, because he knows how high strung I can be, that I was going through a lot of turmoil, anyways, just inner, fight with a relationship, a friendship. My best friend and I parted ways about 6 months prior to meeting Claudia, and I was still reeling every day over the loss of my friend. And it talked about dealing with emotions and having an outlet and everything that you said in her intro, and like bottled up emotion. And he really, when he saw what this was and heard the description, he knew immediately that I needed something like that. And so it was a small step to get me in the door. And that transformation I felt was huge. I actually was able to make progress in 5 days of coloring to get past the hump of where I was at with the loss of this friendship. And so that, that led me to want to join another free workshop, which was her next thing during Valentine's Day week. And so I invited other people to join. And one of my clients actually joined. And I felt like that was also something that was a huge thing for me to be able to provide for a client who, then joined the 6-week class as I was like, what's the next step? I'm ready. And that's how people, I think, feel when they start with me in like a 3-day, arms, abs, and booty challenge. They're like, okay, we got that. What's next? What's the next step? And so I just needed more. And so anything that Claudia was going to do, I knew I needed to be around her. And I think that not only just for the artwork, but because we're kind of in this same journey of growing our businesses now virtually in a part of life that is so emotional and so close to home, that bringing women together and having them be able to open up about really sensitive subjects and kind of release their emotions and talk about them, creating those forums is huge. So to be with Claudia in those forums and really being one of the biggest supporters, I know what it's like to also have a group where there's crickets and you're trying to get people to share and you say, okay, who wants to share first? And everybody's like, no, turn the camera off. And so I was absolutely willing to be that person for Claudia who would, step up and get the conversation going.
So how do you feel about your future self-portrait now that it's over?
My God.
And we're going to show it in a second.
I have it next to me as well.
Okay, good.
And so I feel so proud of it. I think it represents who I want to be, because after that whole relationship thing with my friend, I then turned 40 and Claudia's 6-week course was actually a gift from my in-laws. I knew I wanted to do it. And I asked if that could be the gift. And the big thing then was that in that same week that I turned 40, I decided to move my family from New York to Florida. Oof. And so that was a huge transition that happened very fast and was a lot of emotions. And I really needed that future self and to be able to grasp who I wanted to be. And it gave me a clear picture of who I am and who I want to reflect. And now I went to Michael's and I got it framed and matted. And even that was an experience. And I have my first piece of artwork to hang in my new house, which is an amazing feeling.
Wow. Can we see it?
Of course.
We also have it as a...
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of the screen, but this is me and my future self. I wanted, based on what I learned from Claudia about colors and color selection, but also I'm a Pisces. I need water. I need sun. I need the yellows for the happiness, and all of the other colors that were brought in. But just seeing myself in this person, I had this image of what I wanted to do. But even as we started the process, I still had this fear through most of the weeks that mine was going to end up still looking like a kindergartner did it. Mm-hmm. But Claudia just made sure that each step of the way that we were each supported and learned the techniques that were necessary to come up with that final product that really represented us.
Claudia, can you speak briefly about why a future state portrait is important and so powerful?
Well, one of the things that I learned in the last couple of years, with my self-development and the books that I have read and the people that I have studied, is that when we're always thinking of our past, like, oh, this bad thing happened to me, we're always evoking that same emotion. So we're staying stuck in being depressed or something. So when we start like creating like a vision of the future, like, we start like getting excited about something else and and just like start looking forward. So we start evoking new emotions. And that's the cool thing. That's what I was doing with my art, which I didn't know at the time when I started adding the words. It was like kind of like what things that I wanted to feel, or quotes that, you know, I would find that I resonated with. So I started adding that. So that's why the whole program basically became about that, because when we think about the future, we're creating, and we're all creators, and we just need to start like using our imagination more. And that's something that actually I'm working even more now, because the power of our imagination is, I mean, it's extreme. Like, you know, if, you know, Albert Einstein said imagination is everything. There's so many quotes about imagination. And so that's the whole thing, is just like getting ourselves to start thinking, to start envisioning. You know, that's why there's vision boards. So it's kind of like a vision board in a way, and just start seeing ourselves, and then just have, you know, like Jill has her frame. She can look at it and it can remind her of certain things that she wants for her life, so she can have that as a reminder as well. So I think that's extremely important, especially nowadays that we're going through so much fear, so much uncertainty in so many ways. It's good to like kind of like start building a certainty of how we want to see ourselves, and what do we want to accomplish, because we all need to have like goals, dreams, you know, whatever you want to call it, and just look forward to something new.
Mm.
And you have another, oh, sorry, go.
Nope, go ahead.
You have another workshop that starts next week, right?
Yeah. And so it's the same. I'm making it, you know, I'm improving it as I go. I changed the name from Color with Intention to Color Your Way to Feeling Divine, because I realized that the whole thing is helping women start getting into that better mood, to start feeling better. And for me, it's like, as we build awareness of our emotions, we can start allowing ourselves to feel. And it all goes back to my own experience, and also from what I learned. You know, it's like we need to feel our feelings. I have a friend that says, she jokes around and she tells me, you know, like, feel your feelings. And I was like, yeah, we need to feel it. If we're angry, we need to feel it. I mean, I don't believe that we should dwell in it. That's a whole different thing. But it's just understanding that we're humans. We're going to feel different things. We're going to feel sad. We're going to feel angry. We're going to feel happy. We're going to have anxiety about certain things. But it's like, how do we feel this in a healthy way? And that's what the workshop is about, is helping women start gaining awareness of their emotions, so they can allow themselves to feel, and just start, you know, like letting go, releasing all the stuff that we need to release.
Love that. I have like 3 people that I want to send to you that already are in my mind. Maybe one of them is me.
And do they sign up on your website?
Do
they sign up on your website for the?
Yes, I have the color your way to feeling divine.com. So I don't know if you want me. Yeah, color your way to feeling divine.com. Yeah, that's it. And there it takes you to a Facebook group, and the whole thing, you know, is making sure to do it. I make it 5 days. I was debating if making it shorter, but I like the 5 days because it's all about giving that space. And the beautiful thing is that, like, Constanza, let's say you want to do it. You don't have to tell me what you're going through. You get to work on your own thing on your own. I'm just kind of like facilitating the space for you to do what is going to help you, what is going to make you feel better. And at the end of the day, you know, it makes us healthier, because that's the problem that we have. A lot of people are sick because they're just bottling up their emotions and just suppressing and repressing. And that's why I was miserable before.
Well, you've got to go ahead, Richard.
Oh, I was just going to ask Jill if she's continuing to create art, and what's the last thing she made?
Well, we are moving in 3 days. So everything's packed. And I don't know where it is. So even for our exercise, I found like a highlighter, a pencil, a Crayola marker.
Nice.
So right now, you know, I've been focusing on friendships. And I think that although I'm not in art right now, I've created new fitness programs. I've really worked on saying goodbye to friends and having, special moments with people. And I feel like the calmness in me is from the transition that I made with Claudia. And when I see my painting, just reminding myself that I wanted to be a more calm and happy version of myself. So I would like to get back to coloring and doing more with Claudia. And if she's ready for another class and workshop, she knows I'll be the first one to sign up. But right now I'm working on my golf game the most.
Okay. Nice.
I love it.
Well, Claudia,
Oh, sorry. Go. I'm very excited to do our art activities.
I know. That's what I was just gonna invite us into that. Claudia has this project that she's gonna lead us through. So, what do we need? Can you repeat what we need to do this project with you?
Okay. So, well, I have a color wheel. I should have given that to you. Basically, you just need like color pencils. I just have like certain colors to work with. And you got to create a circle. So I know sometimes it's hard to make a circle. So when I make a circle, let me see if I can show it here. The easiest way to make a circle I like to do is kind of like draw a square. I like to always go into the basics. So I draw a circle and let me see where it is, and draw a line across, and then from there, here it is. Right. I mean, a square, and then from here, I start drawing the circle. So it's kind of like nice and easy. And you can always erase. I always say the eraser is my best friend. And then we're going to keep the line in the middle, the line, we're just going to draw diagonal lines. I'm going to show you in a second. So we're going to keep it nice and simple. So you're just going to draw a circle. And the exercise is to acknowledge your emotions. So we can do 2 or 3 circles. We can start with 2 right now. The first one is going to be about your past. The second one is going to be your present, and the third one, which you can think about later, it's future, and it's just like emotions that we want to feel. This is, I kept it nice and simple because there's a lot of colors relate to emotions, and there could be a lot of meanings. So I picked some like positive emotions and what we call negative emotions to represent feelings that we had. I have. I wish I could share this with you because I have my color wheel here. So basically the yellow is going to mean, it means happiness. Red is going to mean...
Do you need to share your screen? Is there something on your screen you want to share?
Oh, yeah.
You can do that. We can throw that up there.
On the very bottom, there's a button that says share. While she's getting that together, should we do a break and then launch into this?
There we go. We'll be right back.
Okay, excellent.
With color wheel.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives. Whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at the power of music in our everyday lives through the lens of science and health, sports and entertainment, business, and education. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio. Unleash the power of music.
Medical professionals are burning out at an alarming rate. Burnout can cause health workers to feel hopeless, trapped, helpless, worthless, depressed, sleepless, and tired. By joining the Hearts Need Art Gratitude Grams program, medical staff receive a personalized email and video from a musician, an artist, or writer once a week that includes a message of thanks, an encouraging song, uplifting poem, or a simple art activity. After watching their gratitude gram, participants report feeling more hopeful, empowered, energized, and appreciated. If you are or know a healthcare worker that would like to receive free gratitude grams, please visit heartsneedart.org.
We're back. Did we figure out this share screen thing?
It's showing, right?
It is not showing yet. I think you have to click it, and then I think there are like 2 different clicks. You have to
Okay.
share screen, and then you can click entire screen or an actual tab that you want to show. There we go.
There it is.
And then we can put that up there, Catherine. There we go. Perfect.
So let me bring this down. Okay.
Awesome.
Like this. Okay.
For those of you listening, we have different colors in the different sections of the circle and a emotion that goes along with each one. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So did you guys get to draw the circle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're going to start with the first one that is going to represent past. And before we start, I just want us to think, okay. So the idea is to think of like what emotions represented your past. Like, and ideally, I want you to close your eyes, think like about your past. Like, what did you feel like most of your life has been happy, filled with love, or has it been sad, or, have you felt peaceful? And you're going to color according to, if you feel like most of it, like half of it has been happy, you might just want to do half of it in yellow. So it's all up to you. The idea is to not be judgmental. That's the main thing. When it comes to art, we have to let go of judgments because we want to be able to express ourselves. And when we're judgmental, we're blocking ourselves from expressing it. So the past, so you guys can color, think about your past. Like I said, if you close your eyes, just think about it. And what has ruled your past? What kind of emotions? And just color according to that. So
am I coloring in the whole circle?
You can color, so you can break it down kind of like it's in this picture. Yeah, you color in the whole circle to represent your past.
Okay, so this whole first circle represents my past. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So if it was nothing but happiness, the entire thing would be yellow. Right?
Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
I'm tracking.
Got it.
Yes, you can start with one slice at a time and just think, what has helped you the most. So I'll give you a minute, 2 minutes, fill it up. And that's the beauty of this exercise, it's something that you do on your own, and it gets you to acknowledge, to just, create awareness. That's the whole thing. Let me see. Usually in the art program, I do it differently. This is more like a basic short version of it. I work with mandalas where, we have them like go and think a little more about their past. And then the second circle is going to be the same thing, but it's just going to be representing your present.
Mm.
So in your present, like, what are the emotions that rule you the most, that you feel, you're feeling? Like, for example, for me right now, my present, there's a lot of orange because there's a lot of like optimism, like I'm optimistic about things that I want to create, things that I want to build, and what I want to see in my future. So I might, in my case, I did at least a quarter of it in orange because that's how I see my life right now. And then, you start thinking like, what is happening in my life? I mean, do I have like the love that I want to be feeling? Or, have I been feeling enough love? Have I been giving love? Because, to get, we must give also. And like another color for me is feeling renewed, because I'm feeling like I have healed in so many areas that my present just, I have peace because I'm renewed. So things
So when
like
we
that.
so when we finish our past circle, go ahead and draw another one and do our current circle or like present.
Yeah,
Okay.
your present. Mhm.
I made my first circle way too big. I'm like, I'm gonna color in a lot.
I should have, yeah. I should have said something about the size. It doesn't have to be too big or too small either.
It's all good. Current.
I can't imagine as I'm doing this, like all the different, I want everyone to do this and like put them all together to see how many different versions of this that there can be. This has to be, I don't know. All the words that like popped in my head when you said past were up here. But then I was like, oh, I'm so excited to do like now and future because the past wasn't so fun. So I like quickly did that one to move on to be like, yes, there is yellow in the new one.
Yeah. And the cool thing, like later on, you can do like the future is like what kind of emotions that I wanna feel. And as not as an artist, I believe as humans we are creators. We are all, we all create in different ways. Like Jill creates through her health programs, through her fitness program. An architect creates in a different way. An entrepreneur creates. We all create in different ways. And we can start creating like how we want to feel. And there's got to be like a starting point. And this is kind of like a nice, simple, easy way to start just getting into those emotions, like, okay, I want to be happier. What can I start doing to be happier? So that's the cool thing about thinking also about the future. What do we want to create and what's the first step that we're going to take?
I love kind of looking at them change.
Looking at change?
Yeah, looking at like how acknowledging even just the transformation between past and present. And I feel like that sometimes helps imagine that new future too. It's like, well, I've changed in the past, so I'm capable of changing in the future. So I like that you include that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the cool thing of looking at the past and the present.
Well, and seeing like where there's progress. Like for me, there's still some like maybe not great things in there, but it's not as like prevalent
dominant
in my life. Yeah.
I think I packed my love marker.
Oh.
You can
The
substitute
pink.
that one.
And my pink is nowhere to be found.
Just
take red and put pink. Just write pink.
I don't mean anger. I want it to be love.
Or make little hearts.
All right, future state. Okay. I have to get out some new colors.
Anything that's also like makes you like, even when you're thinking about future, like it can't just all be happiness and butterflies and rainbows. Like,
well, there's always the things that are gonna come up.
Yeah, right.
And the thing about like getting in touch with your feelings, that's another thing, is accepting the things that are happening and just learning to process it, to kind of like self-regulating the body, like if I'm going through a hard, recently I went through this, I was feeling really anxious and I woke up and just with that thing that I was really anxious about certain things that are happening in my life and I just couldn't concentrate. And I felt like that agony inside of me, like I wanted to cry, but it just doesn't come out.
Mm.
So I stepped away. I was like, I can't do any work like this. So let me go and try to, work through those feelings. And that's what I did. And I said that I forced myself to cry, not that I forced myself to cry, but I gave myself that space to be with me. And then the tears came out and I just let it out. And then I'm like, okay, I'm good. I can go back to work. So it's learning to just be able to process that and just know, we're going to have those moments. And once again, it's just not dwelling in them and not being in them for days and days, because that, I was like that at one point, and that just means that one is depressed, and that's not good. So it's like finding ways to get out of that.
I mean, Jill is a perfect example of someone who was afraid to do art. But what do you both say to people who even like this scares them because maybe they don't want to think about their past or even their present? Like, what's your advice for people who are afraid to tap into their creative side and their emotions in general?
I think it's the only way to break through, is to acknowledge. It's kind of like, if you're sweeping everything under the rug, it just bottles up. If you really want to, if you're committed to making a breakthrough, then you have to change. You're not going to get to a new place doing the same things that aren't bringing you change. It's the same thing I tell my future and potential clients is, you're acknowledging you want change. So you have to get outside of your comfort zone. And that's what I've seen Claudia do. It's amazing to see her go outside of her comfort zone. And I think in times, like I could tell at the beginning, she was a little uncomfortable saying things or asking things of people, and has really grown with that practice. It takes putting in the reps, and it's not always comfortable at the beginning, but the greatest growth comes from that discomfort.
I think that's such a good point too, that someone has to be at the point in their lives where they want to change, where they recognize that they need something different in their lives. That I think, what we found in our work when we work with adult patients in the hospital and we're offering them art, we acknowledge that any one person that we're going into, or that a person's room, when we go into a person's room, they may not be in the place where they can receive what we're offering yet. And to not try to force that on them, but to just keep showing up and just continuing to offer the opportunity. Because then they often eventually do say yes, because we catch them on the day in the moment where they do need it. And then they're like, this is exactly what I needed. And I'm glad I said yes. And but yeah, I think being available when people are ready to say yes, I think is so important. Yeah. I'm really kind of surprised by what I did. So there are two colors that aren't in anything. Is it okay? Can I share? Is that what we're
sure?
Okay. So I have two colors that aren't in anything but my future state. And that was, okay, I don't see the color wheel, but so I think it's peace and renewal. And not
the teal.
The teal. And there are elements of that in present and past as well, but I want them to be much more dominant in future state. And I had quite a bit of optimism in really both of the past and present, but I had this weird resistance to putting it in my future state, which I was a little bit surprised by. But I think some of the resistance I'm feeling, I'll just share personally. I feel like some of the resistance I'm feeling is optimism means more work. Like I'm going to have to do something and build something and change something. And I want some chill in my future state. I want some more peace and chill. I did put a little bit of optimism over my happiness in future state, just a little smidge. But can we just have some peace? That's what I put. But that was kind of surprising to me.
That's cool. That's the whole idea. Is you see, it's like you start realizing it's like, oh, I have certain resistance about all this, and that's the cool thing is reflecting, getting yourself to reflect, and then it's like, what do I have resistance in this? Like, so what is it that I wanted to create? So that's what I like about this. That's the whole purpose is getting us to think and be with ourselves. And that's the main thing. Mm-hmm.
It's so simple. Like, it's such a simple, like I was just coloring in triangles. I guess I could have done something more artistic than coloring in the triangles, but that's what I did.
That defeats the purpose.
I stayed within the lines.
I also noticed that yours looks exactly like you stayed into the lines, and mine looked like my 7-year-old niece took a stab at it. And it's
Yes.
Let's see it.
All
Show
right.
me your stuff.
Richard. Oh, that looks cool.
Nice.
Ooh.
Okay.
That could go for like $1 million in some museums.
Yeah.
Which one is which? Wait, which one
You
is
can
which?
be the judge of which is which.
Okay. I think I have some ideas.
Because I don't even remember
Aw.
the colors. But
I would think that the anxiety and is that the purple, the anxiousness
Yeah.
is not your
Yeah.
future.
That's the path.
I
Right?
just want to bite my nails even more in the future would be helpful. No, that's not true. But yeah, it was really cool to
That was
like
cool.
think about what you want
Yeah.
and really be honest about where you're at and where you've come from. That was neat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was
I
awesome.
like what you said, being honest. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing. And just we got to get honest with ourselves, because how can we bring about change if we're not? So
Mhm.
It's such
and-
an. Oh, go ahead.
no, that's why I said it's like not being judgmental. It could be looked from like a, what is it called, like third person point of view, like just kind of like stepping away, and this is what my life has been, this is what it's now, and I was like, I can start creating this. So it's stepping away from that deep connection, the pain, I guess.
I think so many people want to rush to the like making things better, like let's get to a future state. But I think something that's essential in any creative practice is an honest acknowledgement of what is. I think that's how I define expression, is like a definition of what is, like what is true right now. And only when you define and acknowledge and accept what is right now can you imagine a new future and steps to get there. Because if you don't know where you're starting, you can't get there. So this is beautiful work that you're doing, Claudia, and that you're leading people through. And thank you so much for sharing this little exercise. This was so great. I want to like dig into it more. I can't wait to I'm gonna maybe go take a minute and go like explore more after this. But thank you for sharing with us. And Joel, thank you for sharing your story. Like, this is such an inspiration.
And good luck on your move.
Yeah.
I just moved myself, so I'm not envious of you at all. Catherine, who's behind the scenes, just moved. So you've got all of the good move vibes coming your way.
Thank you. Only peace in the future.
Yes.
And swimming pool.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I want to make sure that everybody knows how to reach out and connect with both of you if they would like to do that. So if you'd like to share the easiest way to get a hold of Claudia and Jill before we leave.
Mm-hmm. My website is right here,
JillOrtiz.com.
JillOrtiz.com. And of course, you can find Jill Ortiz on, on all the places, the Instagram, the Facebook.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I'm glad that I was here, and you're welcome, Constanza. And yeah, I love, this is what I love, like seeing when people get to enjoy it, and it's like, it gets them excited, so it gets me excited as well. And I'm also on Instagram, but right now, where you have, I guess this is what everyone's seeing, the Color Your Way to feelingdivine.com. That's going to lead to the workshop, it's going to lead to a Facebook group. That's where I have the workshop. And if anyone wants to look for me, they just got to find my last name, Marulanda Art, and they can find me on Instagram or online also, marulandaart.com. Mm-hmm.
We'll put all of those in the show notes.
Thank
you both for being here. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Fun.
And just as a reminder, if you're watching or listening, before you press stop or close out of it, make sure you subscribe to wherever you're doing this on, and keep creating, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Arts for the Health of It, a podcast produced by Hearts Need Art, creative support for patients and caregivers, in partnership with the National Organization for Arts and Health. You can help others learn about the healing power of the arts by subscribing, sharing, and reviewing the podcast wherever you listen or watch. The podcast is hosted by Richard Wilmore, co-hosted by Constanza Rader. Our theme song, Songbird, is written and performed by Natalie Lane. Visit heartsneedart.org to learn how you can support our mission to create joy with people facing life-altering health challenges. Join us next week to learn more ways you can create arts for the health of it. The views expressed on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Hearts Need Art, their staff, board members, or other affiliates. All content is created for informational purposes only. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice or to diagnose and treat any health condition. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health professional with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast.